Boy Jeffrey L. Boney here for another hot edition of Trending Tuesdays. We got our live studio audience in the building. Make some noise. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all are in the house. Man, we got some of our staples in the building. Of course, Pure Justice is in the building. And many more. So hot topic that's going on right now. Of course, there's a lot of conversation. People are anticipating the 18th congressional district race that's coming up for this November. Of course, Governor Greg Abbott has delayed the ability for individuals to actually vote for who they want to represent them after the unfortunate passing of former Congressperson Sylvester Turner, who only stayed in office for a short period of time. And so since that time of his death, he left an open seat, a vacancy that has yet to be filled. And so people of the 18th congressional district have been without representation. And so there's been an excitement about trying to get someone to fill that gap and to represent them. But now that seat is under attack. For those that may not be aware, there's a conversation right now. The Governor Greg Abbott, as I mentioned, he announced that they're in the midst of now a special session that started yesterday on Monday, the 21st. And a lot of people are concerned. The primary reason for their concern is because one of the major agenda items is redistricting. I want to repeat, redistricting. Redistricting typically takes place every year or every time frame, every 10 years after the census. Numbers are produced, and at the next legislative session, typically your state legislature takes up redistricting as part of their agenda items and try to take care of that. And of course, we know since 2003, when former congressional leader and majority leader Tom DeLay pushed forth redistricting or redistricting then and pushed for a major redrawing of the lines that put Texas in a situation where it went from a predominantly Democratic state to a primarily Republican state. And since that time frame, 2003 to date, it's been a Republican dominated red state. And so two people that actually were a part of that conversation at this time in 2003 are joining me today virtually. First, I'd like to introduce the current senator from Senate District 23 out of the Dallas area, none other than Senator Royce West. Let's give him a round of applause, you all.
How you doing?
And did I mention my fraternity brother, Omega Psi Phi? I got to throw that in. All right, and the other person who's joining us today to talk about this, who was also a part of this redistricting in 2003, is former state senator who also now serves as the Harris County Precinct 1 Commissioner, Rodney Ellis.
Good to be with you. Good to see you, Senator.
Good to see you also, Commissioner.
Thank you all for joining us. So you all were both in the Senate in 2003 when redistricting began in 2003. Take us back to that time frame, and this looks like the same soup warmed over. Talk to us about it. I'll start with you, Senator West.
Well, I mean, the fact is that I was a young senator coming in and working very closely with your county commissioner, former state senator Rodney Ellis. And we recognized at that time what this redistricting was going to do if successful. In fact, this was probably the first time in the history of this country that they were doing redistricting. And so we decided to use parliamentary procedures because we didn't have the numbers in order to stop it. And so we decided to follow the House. The House had decided to leave during the regular session and go to Oklahoma. And then after they did that, it was the Senate's responsibility to do something in order to stop it. So we decided to go to, where we go right into New Mexico.
Albuquerque. Albuquerque.
Albuquerque, New Mexico. We stayed there for some 45 days going in and out of the state, but we couldn't leave. We couldn't come back to the state of Texas during that particular period of time. So once we left, we ended up leaving, taking airplanes around the state of Texas, not to be in the state of Texas, because had we been caught, we would have been taken back to Austin in order to make certain that they had a quorum so they could do business. And so we stopped their ability to have a quorum.
That sounds like some fugitive bounty hunter type stuff.
No, that sounds like being able to use the parliamentary procedures in order to try to stop redistricting. We used the rules that were in place then in order to stop the legislature, the Senate, from having a quorum in order to do redistricting.
Senator Ellis, or former Senator Ellis, now Commissioner Ellis, can you bring us back to your remembrance of the redistricting that took place under Tom DeLay or at the behest of Tom DeLay's Congressman Tom DeLay in 2003?
Look, it's good to be with you, Bonnie, and of course my brother and dear friend Royce West. I miss him so much. We served many years together. As I recall it, back in 2003, you had several re's going on. In Florida, you had to recount, the controversial recount for a presidential race. And then out in California, you had to recall of Governor Gray Davis out there. And so then you had the redistricting going on in Texas. So you had a lot of press coming out of Florida, obviously, because of what was at stake there in terms of a presidential race. And this was the first time that Republicans ended up in Texas having the Senate and the House. So in 2001, Democrats had the House, Republicans had the Senate for some time. I think Senator West maybe going back to about 95 or something like that, I guess, when they took over the Senate. And Tom DeLay was the leader of this effort to try and steal seats. You couldn't win by elections, so you want to go pack them. And then even as now, the bulk of the population growth in Texas was from Black and brown communities, primarily Latino communities. May have been 95% then, Royce, I just cannot remember. And what they wanted to do was figure out how they could get more seats and trample on voting rights, by the way. And so it was an extreme measure. I remember a piece that they did in the New York Times where they called me the father in exile because our last child, who just came out of college, Alina, was born on a Sunday. And then I guess I left on Monday to go back to Austin, packed up. And then I guess we left, Senator West, maybe on a Thursday. And so I didn't see my wife and that newborn for a month. We were gone 48 days, 48 days, Senator West. We set the record.
Somewhere up there, right.
And when my wife sent the others quickly, within about a week, Leland, our son, and Nicole and Mariah came to Albuquerque. And but when I saw my wife, I think it was Labor Day, I had to go from Albuquerque up to Minneapolis and then go down to New Orleans. I had a business meeting there for my investment banking firm, and then on to Atlanta, where I met them. did an interview when I left New Orleans, because in that state, the Republican governor or the attorney general would have arrested me. So I did my business meeting and then met with a reporter at the airport, and they talked about one of the Texas 11 is what we referred to as, because it only took 11 members, and we only had 11, to break the quorum in the Senate. But look, it was not fun and games. It was tough. You know, if I never see that Pyramid Marriott Hotel again in my life, I'll be just fine. But, you know, it was a tremendous sacrifice on everybody, on Senator West and all of the members there. But we had a lot of support. Bill Richardson was governor. The attorney general of the state helped to protect us. I remember if we went out, you know, I was doing my bike riding then. I had to go early in the morning because it was dry heat, hot, but a dry heat. And they'd have these labor guys with us because there were rumors that these bounty hunters were out to grab one of us and then, you know, take us back to Texas so they could
just kidnap us. Exactly.
Yeah, but it was a tremendous sacrifice, and we got a lot of national press. Obviously, we know how it ended. I won't go there, you know. But you know, one member left us in the middle of the night, and so things change. But you know, and it's important to note now, this redistricting really is a racist attempt to erase the Voting Rights Act. They really want to strike down the final section left of the Voting Rights Act.
That's Section 2, exactly.
Section 2, and that's what this is all about. It is extreme. It has national implications, and if they do that, you know, hey, get ready for people on the Dallas County Commissioners Court, the Harris County Commissioners Court,
and also the state representatives and the senators.
Yes,
because what's happening up here in North Central Texas is that Tarrant County, which is Fort Worth, has 2 African Americans sitting on the county commissioner's seat in the court. And what they're doing there is also doing redistricting. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, out of turn redistricting in order to get rid of her to make that seat a Republican seat. That's what's going on.
and I want to stress it's about race.
All about race.
It's all about race.
Well, I happened to see and read the letter that was sent out by the U.S. Department of Justice,
Right.
Civil Rights Division, that actually indicated that they use case law. And I know your attorney, Senator West, that tried to justify the fact that these 4 congressional districts, which were drawn by race by way of the Voting Rights Act, were based off of recent case law, no longer valid, in essence, is what their argument is. And that subsequent to that they needed to redraw these lines so they were not based off of race. Can you expound on that a little bit more?
Well, here's the deal. Okay, when we ended up doing redistricting in 2021, let's fast forward to 2021, the chair of the committee said 10, 15 times that race was not a factor in drawing the current seats. Now, mind you, those that are in the audience and listening, all four seats that are being contested are African American or Latino. She said, as the chair of the seat, in the committee and also on the floor, that race was not a factor. She also testified in depositions that race was not a factor. She also testified, the chair, in federal district court that race was not a factor in drawing these seats. But now the Department of Justice is coming back saying that race was a factor. Now, mind you this, and Rodney, you know this, and Boris and the other representatives, anytime the state of Texas feels as though the federal government is out of line, what do? They file suit. But not this time. Not this time at all. Even in the letter sent by Paxton to the Department of Justice, he says in the letter, in response to the Department of Justice letter, that race was not a factor in drawing these lines. But now we have a redistricting effort by Trump to get 5 seats out of Texas.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring that forth as a point of conversation because when asked, I want to say it was CBS News that interviewed him, and a reporter from CBS News, and asked him about this effort, and he said, basically he wanted to pick up 5 seats
Out of Texas.
And he said, not only that, he said, if they can get 3 or 4, that's a win in essence for him. But he said, this is also going to be copied and pasted to other states. So we're always the crash test dummy when it comes to a lot of these different types of policies. But I wanted to read something from the actual letter sent from the U.S. Department of Justice that I found pretty disturbing. It says here, and again, the president is clearly weaponizing the U.S. Department of Justice to carry out this effort. It says it is the position of this department that several Texas congressional districts constitute unconstitutional racial gerrymanders under the logic and reasoning of Petaway, which is a court a ruling case. Specifically, the record indicates that TX09, which is currently held by U.S. Congressman Al Green, and TX18, which is what we just talked about, that was formerly held by many of the people that we probably know, Barbara Jordan, Mickey Leland, of course, recently, Sheila Jackson Lee, and Sylvester Turner, sort Houston voters along strict racial lines to create 2 coalition seats while creating TX29, a majority Hispanic district. Additionally, TX33 is another racially based coalition district that resulted from a federal court order years ago. Yet the Texas legislature drew TX33 on the same lines in the 2021 redistricting. Therefore, Texas TX33 remains as a coalition district. And it said, respond to this letter by July 7th and advise me of the state's intention to bring its current redistricting plans into compliance with the U.S. Constitution. Can you expound on that, Senator? I keep calling you Senator. Commissioner Ellis and Senator West?
Well, Senator West made a very important point. The chair of the redistricting committee in court and under oath said that those lines were not drawn with any racial intent whatsoever. So was she lying then, or is the Justice Department lying now? But look, this is a power grab. This is because the expectation is that with the president's polling numbers dropping like a rock, with all of the foolishness coming out of the White House,
out of his mouth,
trying to hold on to the House of Representatives. That's what this is about. And, it's a very slippery slope. It's dangerous. And the first case is Texas. They know in a fair court they won't win under that set of facts, but the lines will be in place. New lines will be in place, and that'll drag on 3 or 4 years. There are cases now from the last redistricting that are still coming up in court. So no, it's outrageous, and people ought to make noise, good noise.
So in 2003, you all went to New Mexico and stayed. And of course, like you say, one of the members returned, which broke, or I guess allowed the breaking of the quorum to no longer be a nuclear option.
Yeah, it gave the Republicans a quorum. They needed one person.
Right. So they were successful then. Of course, there were groups that left, broke quorum in 2021, went to DC, and some returned, and they were successful in instituting their plan. So now there's rumors, conversation that breaking quorum will be another option. Now, the difference between 2003 and 2021 is that your colleagues up in Austin created laws or changed the rules, if you will, so that you all would be fined $500 a day when you break quorum. And even Attorney General Paxson has demanded that if that happens, y'all be arrested. So, Senator West, I'll have you start on that.
Well, I mean, you're right about that. And I hadn't really fully researched the rules that you're talking about, the House rules right now. And there are rules in the Senate also. I hadn't fully researched it, but I believe that they're similar to the House rules. And, here's the deal. if we had the numbers to leave, hell, I'd leave. Okay. And the question then becomes whether or not there's an end game. Okay. You got to always look at the end game. And so not having the numbers, and frankly, we have members that have different hardships that really can't leave the state of Texas in order to break quorum in the Senate. But we have to use every available tool at our disposal in order to make certain we do everything in our power to try to thwart this particular effort. But I go back to where the chair of the Redistricting Committee in the Senate said under oath, as Commissioner Ellis just said, that race was not a factor. On the floor of the Senate, race is not a factor. In committee, race is not a factor. In depositions under oath, race was not a factor. But all of a sudden, it's a factor. And it's up to us to make certain we do everything in our power to make certain we continue to have a seat, 2 seats, 3 seats in Harris County and 1 in Tarrant County. Make no mistake about it, the one in Dallas, even though not mentioned, is still in play also.
So let me ask you this, these final questions, and we have some in-house guests as well that will be joining us to talk about this matter. What do you all plan to do exactly, and what are you asking the people, the citizens that will be impacted by this to do?
Wake up. Wake the hell up. I mean, the fact is that we have the numbers. We've got to form coalitions. You know, there are more African Americans in the state of Texas than any other state in this country. But we are not voting. We're not voting our strength. And we're going to end up still being asleep when they steal these congressional seats if we allow it to happen. And we've got to make certain that we stand up, tell people to participate in these hearings in numbers they've never seen before. Absent doing that, they're just going to say, well, okay, they don't care. Okay, they're not showing up at these meetings. Okay, we've got to do that. We've got to be at the Capitol. Just like when the abortion issue, you remember that, Rodney?
Yeah.
When the abortion issue was on the table. People showed up, thousands showed up in order to protest that. We've got to do the same thing this time around. Otherwise, they're going to say they don't care at all. And then in 2026, don't miss this. This is about 2026 and 2028. Trump wants a 3rd term. And if he can get what he's attempting to do right now, he's going to have pretty much a House and a Senate that will try to change the law so he can run a 3rd term. That's what's at stake here. And if people continue to just kind of sleep through this, we're going to turn around and see some of the rights that we've been able to get through fighting eroded as a result of the changing of the power structure in this country.
People got to get on social media. They got to show outrage. You know, the members of the House and Senate will have to strategize all options on the table. It's a very personal decision if somebody breaks quorum, and there are severe consequences to it. But they have to make that call. They're going to fight the good fight. You know, the odds don't look good, but we got to make noise so that sends a signal to California where they'd have to go into a special session, pass language to amend that constitution to get rid of the independent redistricting commission, go to the voters and hope that passes. And other states, you know, but it's a national issue. But because the litmus test starts in Texas, we got to do it in a big way. Everything's big in Texas. Big demonstrations. Show up at the hearings. Make noise. Do op-eds. And, you know, nothing we can do about the folks who didn't vote before. The man never should have won, by the way. A lot of the crazy stuff he's doing, he said he was going to do it. And people figure, well, he's not serious. This man's been in 6 months. It seems like he's been in that for 4 years. A lot of damage. Undoing all of the civil rights legislation that people fought and died for over the years. That's what's at stake.
And right there, let me say this. You know, Clarence Thomas happens to be an African American. His skin complexion is like ours, Brother Bonner. I have nothing in common with him at all. But you got to understand that before he became a justice, he was over, what was the EEOC?
Mm-hmm.
Civil Rights or something. He wants to do away with Civil Rights Act. Okay? He wants to do away with Section 2 of the Civil Rights Act. And they have a court that's poised to do it. And people have got to remember, but for the Civil Rights Act and some of the other legislation that was passed in the 60s, we would not be blessed with some of the things, some of the rights that we currently have. Think about all of the people that have worked for the federal government that are now being dismissed, that look just like us, because of this guy who's the president now of the United States of America. And if we sleep through this, stay asleep, because there's no sense waking up. Yeah. They're going to turn around, and the rights that we've been able to get, they'll be taken away from us.
Be like old Rip Van Winkle. You know, you wake up at the end of revolution, you slept through it.
That's right.
Wow. Well, Senator West, Royce West, we appreciate you for chiming in all the way from Dallas. And of course, Commissioner Rodney Ellis, always appreciate you for being a friend to Trending Tuesdays. Hope to have you all back on and hopefully have some good news, coming out of this special session.
Let me say this. I would ask the ministers in the Harris County area, I'd ask the activists to put aside differences and come together with a plan in order to attack this. We need to make certain, as you recall, Rodney, what we was doing when we were trying to get business opportunities in the state of Texas. What we decided to do is to top their communication systems, calling them, making certain they knew how we felt about these issues. We made certain that people came down to Austin and testified. There are going to be redistricting hearings. The House has one in Houston. I don't have the date. It's going to be a new
weekend. I think it's Saturday.
Saturday. You need to be there. You need to be there in numbers. We have got to set the pace right there in Houston by thousands of people turning out and making certain they're heard. And they're going to be virtual hearings too. We've got to make certain that we attend those hearings and that there's one message you can't steal from us.
Let me ask you this, and I know I was about to let you go, but based off of what you just said, I got to ask this question. You know, there are a lot of people who showed up in record numbers to vote for President Obama, not only the first time, but even the second time. There were a lot of people that came out in record numbers to vote for President Joe Biden and get him elected and over the finish line. And the Democrats had the House and the Senate and felt like they didn't get anything delivered. So there's a lot of, in talking with people, a lot of voter apathy, a lot of people that feel like I did my part. I showed up and nothing has changed. What do you say to those individuals that are being challenged to show up and to make noise and to do those things? What would be different? How do we engage and get these people, off the couch, if you will, that have probably said, I wash my hands of this because ain't nothing gonna change?
Rodney, you want to start on that?
I'd say go look at the records. I mean, you may not have we didn't get everything we wanted under Barack Obama, but we got a hell of a lot, starting with Obamacare.
Exactly.
The Trump administration won't stay in. The Joe Biden, let me tell you, his record on civil rights issues came close to LBJ's, and he didn't have control of the chambers of Congress. And you got to be able to get around that filibuster rule. You got to have 51 votes to change it, and we didn't have that. We had a couple of Democrats in there who were jokes. I mean, they were, you know what I'm saying? They were not real Democrats. Elections matter. Nothing could be worse than what's happening now. So for those black men who figured they wouldn't vote for a black woman, well, how's that going for you now? For those Latinos who figured, well, we're not getting enough out of the Biden administration, how's it going for you now? I mean, just look at the record. Politics is a business of incremental change. You can't change it overnight. Now, this guy's testing all of the boundaries.
All of them.
Look at affirmative action. I mean, what he's doing at universities, ripping up these MWBE programs. And let me tell you, the damage she's doing is going to set us back to the 1940s or 50s. And so there is a hell of a lot at stake. Now is not the time for folks to just focus on, I didn't get a contract or what I personally did. Look at collectively the gains we made under Obama and under Biden. A world of difference. This ain't no George Bush Republican administration here. I mean, this is back to the past. This is, the wild, wild west, pardon the reference, Senator. But no, it's a whole different breed of racist policies that are going in place.
Make America great again? Come on, guys. Make America great again? I mean, the reality is that those are code words to take America back again to the days of Ozzie and Harriet and all of those things back in the 40s and 50s. There has been, as Commissioner Ellis has said, there has been incremental change. We see more and more persons of color. Just as an example, since George Floyd's death, a son of Houston, we've seen some changes in terms of criminal justice. May have not have seen everything we wanted to see, but we have seen some changes. In terms of minorities getting business opportunities, we've seen some of those changes. And I'm telling you now, if this man gets his way, he is going to set back our agenda for change in this particular country. And so it's going to be up to us in order to make certain that he doesn't get that opportunity.
Thank you so much for joining us again, Senator Royce West out of Dallas, and of course, Commissioner Precinct 1, Harris County, Rodney Ellis. God bless you guys. Have a good night being on Trending Tuesdays. All right. Before we go to our in-house speakers and guests today, we're gonna toss it to Danette Davis to say a few words. Let's go ahead and give it up, y'all, for Danette Davis. We're here in the K. Davis showroom.
Am I on?
Yes.
All right, now we are. I told Jeff, now I'm Danette Davis, and this is K. Davis in the community, and we are where? In the community, doing what we're supposed to do. But there are some folk who have been there doing this hard work for years and years. One of them is on, did he leave? Commissioner Ellis and Dr. Shabazz, who's at the table, who's not had a word yet. There's just a couple of things that I wanted to do. My staff, please. What have you? I know a lot of you didn't know about the Movement Festival that we did. We donated the George Floyd statue over in Tombaz Park. And, this is 5 years since that happened. And the Movement Festival was a 4-day festival. And what we did was we went to the very folk who had our backs when we got that statue put over there and make America great again, right? So Commissioner Ellis and Dr. Shabazz told me, what do you need? You need the amphitheater? You got it. You need Third Ward Community Center? You got it. On me. Willie, I'm looking at you. We did your play. The play that George Floyd's story was told out the window. It was at Third Ward Community Center. I just want, to me, people who walk the walk and talk the talk need to be honored and recognized. And, you guys are here. I'm so excited with this gigantic crowd. But, the folk that are, working behind the scenes, whether you paying attention is day or night or morning, these are folk doing the thing. And I wanted to, Commissioner Ellis, if he's not still on, this certificate of appreciation and this little gift certificate is for him. You want to hold this one? So let's let Rodney know that we have that. But Dr. Shabazz, if you'll come up, please. I don't care, Y'all don't know. Yeah. She talked about me bad when we were over at the center and they were cutting the grass while we were in the meeting. And she said, but nobody could talk about me or call me late at night and say, this grass ain't cut. And we got folk coming and you got Bud Danette, right? And she did that. But then yesterday when she was walking, getting her health on, she was talking to me on the phone. She said, I want to call you. I just want to make sure you knew I was thinking about you and about what you were trying to do tomorrow. But that's been her since I've known her and since she's been in office. And this is just a little token that says we appreciate her because we need folk doing stuff when we trying to go to work. We got folk that's got to be, the vote and all those things you hear him talking about. Somebody got to be doing that. And she's on city council. You know her. I don't know. This is a small token. what have you. I don't know, more. They say it's good steak. So we just want to say thank you. And Jeff, I guess this is kind of she's going to join after, and we've got the Honorable Carol Robinson over there. And they're going to take over and do that. But what we wanted to do that. I was trying to catch Rodney before he got off the screen, and Jeff was I texted you, Jeff. I guess you missed it. So, but I was trying to tell him, don't let him leave. Right?
I mean, I'm letting you talk. You ain't got to call me out.
It's okay. We are K Davis in the community, and we do this every other week. We're on top of the topics. I think someone told me she called it out. She called it in the KTSU, and she said, I shouted it out. They didn't. They weren't saying anything, and I did it. I called in and made sure you got that announcement. So we appreciate you for doing that, what have you. So we just want you to know we're here on the screen. It'll be info about who we are, and you can scan it and all of that. Right now, though, if you would just subscribe, to our YouTube channel. And and all that kind of stuff, those things matter. So we can continue to do what we do. And we have a little thing, and let's talk a little bit about sponsorship or something like that for the future. But right now, we're going to do what we do and why we're here. This redistricting thing that we're doing is major. And from another level, I guess, Jeff, I'm going to let you take it. After, guys, this is an intermission, and the art that's here, when we're done, the break, we have mentees and artists, and we do things like that for the community. So we're going to tell you how to move around a little bit later, but we're going to get back to the business for why we're here. Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Shabazz. Okay.
All right, y'all, we are back. Thank you so much, Danette Davis, K Davis in the community. We're here, right here in the heart of Sunnyside, Houston, Texas, at the K Davis Showroom Plus. We got our live studio audience in the building. Make some noise. All right. And now we're going to go and toss it and bring up two individuals. One of them you just saw, be honored, but she, I guess, needs no introduction other than the fact that we're in the heart of your district, right? The District D, the district of destination here in Houston, Texas. Dr. Carolyn Evans Shabazz. Let's give it up again for Dr. Carolyn. Can I call you doctor? You earned it, right?
Whatever the check comes in.
Whatever the check comes in. All right, doctor. And then, of course, we have, a longtime staple in political science and politics. And he served in office. He's like the guru when it comes to politics. It's like this man's brain is like on overload when it comes to information and breaking down politics from a linear, higher level. Man, I'm talking about none other than former Houston City Councilman Carol G. Robinson. Now, Carol, I know you've held so many different other roles, but let's talk about this redistricting.
So let me talk about a couple things real fast. I don't even know if it's out there. I haven't been this far out Westheimer in a while on the Beltway 8, but I know y'all are sophisticated Nordstrom and Neiman Marcus consumers, but there used to be Sims. And Sims used to run a commercial that said, "An educated customer is our best consumer." So I don't want you hollering and screaming, coming out to no redistricting here and pulling your hair out, jumping up and down. I want to have a sophisticated political strategic conversation with you, because the opposite side has been running a playbook and we acting like we not an NFL team. We don't have a playbook and we just out here playing around. So I try to play long. There's a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The only habit I remember from the book is always begin with the end in mind. So I want to educate you on a couple of things. The last time the House left when they were trying to make it harder for black folks to vote, when you make it harder for black folks to vote, you make it harder for everybody else. 5 or 6 Democrats came back and gave Republicans a quorum. You have got to start voting people out of office. If you don't send people home, they ain't afraid of you. And in this business, you got to understand, fear drives respect. This past session, every Democrat went to Austin and voted for the Republican speaker that passed all the bad legislation and is going to preside over the House. What they cut the deal to vote for Burrows for speaker to get was to be vice chairs of committees with no power. They wanted a title rather than influence. Not one of them pushed to change the rules of the House that made it harder for them to exercise the only real power they have in the minority, bus quorum. So when every one of these folks come back to you after we go through this emotional storm, ask them why did they vote for the speaker and not ask to change the House rule, and get a commitment from them that no matter what happens, if they get reelected, when they go back up there in 27, they got to vote to change the House rule and not vote for anybody for speaker without that commitment. That's the first thing you have to do to deal with what's happening now, because we will do this again in 2030. After the 2030 census, Texas will go back into legislative session in 2031, and we'll have another 2 to 4 additional congressional seats. This is not just a trial, let's get some power for Trump. This is a test run for redistricting in 2031 to figure out how they're going to steal all 4 of those seats. Here's the bad news. Okay? It's going to get worse.
Oh, man.
There's not a Democratic elected official in the legislature or in the leadership of the Texas Democratic Party that once Donald Trump started talking about he wanted Texas to go back into redistricting, that drew a map to say, at a minimum, let's put this on the record so when we go into federal court, we can make an argument that we can draw a better map. I'm a lawyer. I've done redistricting. I was Rodney's first chief of staff, Senator Ellis, not Commissioner Ellis. If you don't enter a map into evidence during the redistricting process, testimony alone is not enough. You got to show that you could draw the district you were describing. You have to describe it in detail. Everybody got to realize this too. This is not the 18th district geographically that elected Barbara to Congress, Mickey to Congress. Districts change after every cycle. So not only do I want you to talk to these Democrats in the Texas House when they come home and start talking to you and pounding on their chest and telling you how tough they are and all the stuff they fought for, they failed the first test. They voted for a Republican and didn't use the leverage. The Republicans were in a fight and they didn't lose their leverage. Let me talk about the substance of redistricting. When Texas did it in 2003, they did it because in 2001, after the 2000 census, they couldn't draw a map. The legislature couldn't draw a map. And when they didn't, it ended up in federal court, and we ran under federal court maps. And then in 2003, DeLay convinced them to go do mid-decade redistricting. I was working at the law school. I was in public affairs at Texas Southern University. I used to teach at the law school. So the first thing I did was run over to the law school to use their version of Google. There were actually 2 Supreme Court decisions that already existed. One was from Colorado. I can't remember where the other one was, but I knew we were in trouble because Thurgood Marshall in one of those opinions said mid-decade redistricting was okay because governments may have a legitimate governmental interest. I said of the black man, the brother said it was okay. I just didn't see all them other folks on the court saying it wasn't going to happen. It happened. Nobody has prepared since then. They've acted like it's a one-off. Now we come to 2025. This has been my arguments. I put it out in writing. I've called a bunch of folks to ask them before they open a special session, file a lawsuit. United States Supreme Court says, when you describe it as partisan gerrymandering, we don't know how to fix that, so only the state courts can fix it. We already have a case literally going on now out in El Paso where we are arguing that some of the districts were racially biased. They just finished trial in El Paso. That's what Senator West and Commissioner Ellis were talking about, that the Republicans went out and testified. My argument was, let's file a lawsuit in state court, try to convince a bunch of folks nobody's taking the bite. Here's what my logic is. Sometimes you have to use your disadvantage to your advantage. Republicans got rid of, by way of the United States Supreme Court, Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act. Section 4, in a case called Shelby, said this is the data that determines which states are under the Justice Department's purview for Section 5 preclearance. Preclearance was a power that the Justice Department could tell a state what they had to do. It no longer exists. My argument was, well, it's nice to hear from the Justice Department, but Texas don't have to agree with them. On top of it, it contradicts what all the Republicans said in court. They're arguing over a Fifth Circuit case. And the Fifth Circuit literally said in the case, only if you say we need a coalition district because we're facing voter dilution. They didn't say just because you have black and brown people in the district. Imagine a state like Texas in Harris County. I don't know how you draw a district just based on housing patterns where you could carve out black folks from Hispanics, from whites, and Asian. And the ideal size of a congressional district after 2020 was 677,000 and some change. Anybody in this room who can use a computer to draw a district where you don't have multiple racial groups, please, let me see your map. So the argument that we're going to go back into mid-decade redistricting on the basis of you have an 18th, a 9th, a 29th, and 33rd, District 33, because they have multiple racial groups in them, is a farce. They're literally doing this. There was a case called Shaw versus Reno. It was a North Carolina case back in the 1990s. And the United States Supreme Court says if you have an ugly district, they didn't say it that eloquently. They said if it was elongated, funny looking, it was presumptively unconstitutional. And we wanted compact districts. The Justice Department and now the governor and Republicans in the legislature have essentially said compact districts like we have in Texas are now unconstitutional, and we want to use race to redraw the map when the Supreme Court has said you can't draw the map based on race. That's why they said that all through the testimony 15 times on the House floor, because they knew if they said it was race, we would have a viable Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act case in federal court. That's the last vestige of voting right protection that exists right now. When we go into state court, it's going to be a tough fight, but I think somebody ought to file a lawsuit in state court while we're going through this process to get that started and to start better utilizing the language that now exists in the theories. I'm putting out a new place. I just wrote my testimony for Saturday. I'll send it to you, Jeff. But I try to make the rational argument using the language of Republicans and the current Republican majority on the Supreme Court to explain how you can protect the existing framework of the 18th, the 9th, the 33rd is
Mark
Congressman Vesey up in Dallas. We lost a black seat when Colin Allred ran for United States Senate. You know, we didn't have the preparation to get somebody to win that seat, but I'll stop there.
Well, I mean, no, you know, like I told y'all, when it comes to political breakdowns and looking at things from a real strategic standpoint, you know, there's none greater. But I just want to ask, you know, lawsuits were filed from the 2021 redistricting that took place, standard redistricting. And so those lawsuits are still pending.
Yeah.
And so, but however, those redrawn lines are now in effect. And so, you know, if those lawsuits are still pending and we're now 4 years down the road, you know, it seems like even if they are successful with this particular redistricting, that we're looking at, you know, a continuum where nothing changes except what the Republicans' will is. So, you know, Councilwoman Dr. Shabazz, what are you hearing out there, particularly because I know you are in the 18th Congressional District. And so that's one of the particulars. I'm in TX9, which is Congressman Green's district. So these are things that impact both you and I. I serve as council member out in Missouri City. This is an issue that is deeply concerning for many of us because, you know, we are, you know, wanting to make sure our representation, you know, matters, you know. And so what are you hearing out there? What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, it's very hard to follow Carole Robinson. Well, I had to follow him at the Houston Community College, and it was a challenge. And so he actually has been a mentor to me. And I believe if you ever get an opportunity to sit at his feet, you should take that opportunity because he just tells you like a TI is. If you get mad, you're just mad, you know, go away and get glad. Okay. But certainly it's, and then, you know, Jeffrey Boney in his own right, certainly he's someone that I read his editorials and things that he writes. And it's just so informative, you know, what they bring to the table. But certainly, you know, the most that I hear right about now is how many people are actually going to run to fill that seat. And that is a question that, of course, has come to the forefront. And, you know, there are certain people who certainly have decided they're going to run. And I get it, you know, but people past your church and your classroom need to know you. You can't just decide, especially if you haven't done any public service, that you're going to be the representative. I mean, you go from congressman and senator to vice president and president. So you have certainly skipped a whole lot of government in between to get in those high positions. But certainly it's a concern because the 18th Congressional District, before the late Congresswoman passed, we were going to get a food distribution center in 3rd Ward that was actually going to be able to help people to get food for free. And that was earmarked before her death. And then, of course, we were anticipating with the late Sylvester Turner taking that position that we were going to be able to move forward. Well, that's basically a dead soldier right about now, especially in the current administration. And then I heard, you know, people say, well, you know, what did we get with Obama? Let me see if I can put it like this. Sometimes to not lose is a gain because we have lost so much so quickly, and it's really, really frightening. Now, I know, you know, maybe this isn't popular, but I'm honestly going to say, and I say it every time, the last election, just like these lines were rigged, I believe that last election was rigged as well. And so I'm waiting on somebody to come and save us and just come out with the truth. Get the coverage that you need because it's it's a very dangerous stance. But somebody has the proof and they do know. And he has said it himself, actually. But moving right along. So the problem is this gerrymandering that's scheduled to take place can certainly backfire. And they say that it can become dummy mandering, which means that some Republican seats could be lost as well. But it's very, very frightening. I mean, the numbers, what is it, 38 Republicans, 12 Democrats? How many more do you need to be able to do more damage? Because that's actually what's happening.
They want 50.
Yeah,
I mean, they want them all. They want it all.
Well,
I mean,
actually, when you start looking at last election, I mean, I don't think any of the swing states went to Kamala. I think they all went to the person. And so, and that right there should give you pause. That should give you pause. That's never happened. And then all of a sudden, one of the least popular persons gets all of the marbles and wins the game. It's something really, really alarming about that. But certainly, being an elected official, whether y'all know it or not, is not easy. It is not just photo ops. You have to take some positions that may not be popular, and then you have to think them out. I mean, we just had the one with the feeding, with the homeless, and not wanting to certainly criminalize them, but I challenge anybody to give us a solution. I'm listening. Nobody wants to criminalize, but we also don't want people that are sick and laying in the street, continuing to lay there in the street. We want them to have dignity. Mm-hmm. There's no dignity in laying on a sidewalk. But I was very, very adamant about having resources for them. You can't just tell a person to move. They are not nomads. They must rest somewhere. So we must have resources for them to go and get shelter and wraparound services. But I digress.
Carol, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. But certainly, this is a great concern. Hopefully at some point, we as minorities can get together behind a plan and behind a person. Because it's like everybody decides that they're going to lead and nobody wants to follow. That has characteristically been our problem. Mm-hmm. We cannot follow, we cannot respect differences. We can't respect ideas. If they didn't come from me, it's not a good idea. That's not good.
No.
And so, just as Carol said, we don't want people just out there and having heat strokes, running out there, protesting this, protesting that. It's going to have to be an organized effort. And my point in saying that being elected is not easy, sometimes you have to you might have to get arrested. You might have to get fined. I don't know how they're going to get the money. If you fine me $500 a day, you have left me on day one, but I'm not going back. So, we just you do have to have courage, but you also need the support of the people to know that I'm making the sacrifice, not for me. I'm on this end of the spectrum, but we got a lot of babies and young people coming up that we must create a better world and a better quality of life.
I agree.
And so,
yeah, I just wanted to circle back on something that you said, Carol, relative to having a plan. You said that nobody took the time to submit a map. And I oftentimes, and it gets frustrating because you oftentimes hear the same thing over and over and over again. We need a plan. We need a Black agenda. We need this. It's like always the same things. And as it relates to the playbook of the Democratic Party, it seems like we're more reactionary than we are proactive. And I think that's what I'm hearing you say. And I've oftentimes heard you say these things and read you in your op-eds say some of the same things. But is it that we don't want to hear it, Is it that it's just not a priority? Is it that we're ignorant? I mean, I'm just trying to understand what it is.
So I'll give you a couple of examples. When I was on council, I pushed for forever for district council members to have a budget where because they're closest to the people. Thank God C.O. Bradford followed me and picked it up. I read the Chronicle now and I'm amused. There's an editorial when I was on council with a Houston Chronicle editorialized, and they call it "Never Shall the Buffalo Roam," because I had this stupid, crazy idea that because folks were like my parents and they worked during the day, have it public session at 2:00 on Tuesday afternoons just didn't work for working class people. And maybe once a month, we ought to take not only public session, but a council meeting out to all these things we spent the taxpayers' money on called city municipal service centers, and hold council meeting and public sessions in the evening. Now everybody is down at City Hall talking about how glamorous it is that we should move it to the evening. Look, as Carolyn says, here, let me give you what my thing is, why Danette got me out my house, and I don't come out that much anymore. We have got to pick the right candidate for the 18th district. We got to pick them on the first round. Because if you don't pick them on the first round, everybody thinks the governor's going to call a special session, the runoff in December. He probably doesn't call it till in January or later. But here's why you need a good Congress member. In 2027, the year after 26, every Black city council member, 5 of them, because Plummer has essentially stepped off to go run for county judge. She would have been term limited out, but every Black district council member is gone. Yep. You need a Congress member like Mickey was to be a political field general to go make sure Black folks don't lose representation in local government. Somebody in Congress, even in the minority, can force changes on HISD. They can be the political pocketbook to make sure the right candidates have support to run for city council in 2027. And they'll have the leverage to get other things done. That's going to be the importance of the 18th district, regardless of what the shape looks like. The same thing, probably one of the best members of Congress right now that nobody pays attention is Congressman Al Green. We got to make sure that we don't lose Congressman Al Green. I'll tell you the secret, the rumor. They're either going to, because Congressman Green 2 times has moved to impeach the president of the United States, and because he laid the foundation the first time in the first administration that ended up impeaching Trump twice, they're out to get Congressman Green. Yeah. And the benefit, I'm going to call it a conspiracy. That's my favorite word. I think they were talking about this a long time ago. That's why the governor didn't set the special until November. And they worked out whatever they think their map is going to be. They're having these 3 pretend hearings, and then they're going to go past their map of what Congress will look like. So supposedly they're either going to consolidate Congressman Green into the 18th. So whoever we elect in November will serve in the current 18th district. But come the March primary, we may have a member on member with Congressman Green in whatever the new combined district is called, whether they keep the number 18th or number 9. So that's one of the things we have to be aware of. The other possibility is that they may combine him with Lizzie Fletcher's district. I think that's probably unlikely. I said this going into the 2021 redistricting cycle. And Jeff, you folks down in Fort Bend County, I'm so disappointed in, not you, but
Oh, okay. I was like,
no,
clarify that now.
because I got plans for you.
Yeah.
We need mayors.
Yes, indeed.
Because a lot of what black folk need are going to be taken care at the local level. And a member of the 18th will also help elect the mayor in 2027. Because Whitmire may be retiring. But look, Fort Bend County population in 2020 per the census was over 800,000. I said earlier, a congressional district is 677,000. Fort Bend in and of itself can be in one district with 55,000 people left over. Fort Bend County is split among 3 or 4 congressional districts. Harris County is 4,700,000. Harris County can hold 6 districts without any one of them going outside the boundaries of Harris County and still have 100,000 people left over. What do Fort Bend and Harris County have in common? They're Democratic counties, and they both have a lot of African Americans. And for all the talk about black folks not voting, guess what black folks do?
Vote.
We vote. And you just have to have enough of us to win a Democratic primary and a good candidate who can find the right issues to build a multiracial coalition, and they can go to Congress. Right now, we have 4. We could probably have 3 members, 3 African-American members from Harris County alone. And we could likely, because every countywide elected official in Fort Bend County is what, Jeff?
Democrat.
And
Black.
I'm just saying, I ain't that bright.
And in Fort Bend County.
But if I could see it, I certainly would want a map that shows Fort Bend County in essentially a consolidated congressional district and put the other 55,000 wherever they want to. Jefferson County, with a boatload of black folks, proportionally one of the blackest places in Texas, is split among multiple counties. We used to have a district that was represented by Nick Lamson that ran from Jefferson County down the Gulf Coast, down to Galveston. Essentially, it's a Democratic district that looked like one of the core cornerstone constituency in the Democratic Party. Since if you say race, they say that's evidence against you and you do a racial-based district. But if you just look where they sell barbecue, that was so stereotypical. But if you just look where the urban, suburban school districts are, you know where to draw congressional districts that would elect people who would represent your concerns if you just make sure you are willing to be respected. When I served at City Hall, I passed it on to Ada because Ada came after I was leaving City Hall. I had a poll tax. Somebody out in the north side of town gave it to me. And I put the poll tax receipt over the light switch in my council district office. And my basic position when I served on city council was you didn't have to like Carole Robinson, but you were going to respect Councilmember Robinson. And I put the poll tax receipt because I wanted to remind myself every morning that I came in that I wasn't down there for me. I was fortunate. I'm the son of a busboy, a nurse's aide, 2 people who loved each other and loved their 6 kids, that they would go out and clean people's houses. They needed to be taken care of. Me and Carolyn Shabazz, I can call Carolyn Shabazz. My mom and daddy couldn't call anybody. And we have a lot of folks in Houston that look like my mom and dad. They can't call the mayor. They can't call the council member. So I wanted and needed some people that would look out for the folks who look like my mom and dad. Every time Carolyn Shabazz has run for office, I've made sure I supported her because I knew I didn't have to call her. I knew that she understood why she was serving in public office. Houston Community College, City of Houston, and I hope someplace else after she terms out in 2027. That's what you have to be about now. So yeah, go to the redistricting hearing and testify. But make sure what you're testifying about is you want them to draw a district that your voice will be represented, and you want to talk to all these candidates that are running for the 18th congressional district to come and talk to you.
So Carol, if you could just break it down into say 3 things, everyone in this audience, everyone that's viewing or will view, that they need to do when testifying or in addressing this and other issues that are sure to arise. What are those top 3 things?
One, you should say you want the 18th district to be protected because the Supreme Court has said that if Republicans draw districts that divide Black people and undermine our voting power, that's a violation of existing United States Supreme Court law. It goes back to a case called Baker versus Carr. That's the first thing you have to testify. The second thing you have to testify about at the redistricting hearing, if you live in the 18th district or the 9th district, is that you live in a community of interest and you don't want to be moved outside the community of folks you interact with, and you support the person who represents you because they, in the 9th district, they vote your concerns. The third thing you can do at the redistricting hearing is say that the 18th and 9th district shouldn't be divided to undermine the 29th district because Black and brown folks in the configuration that exists have found a happy political medium. Those should be your 3 points to testify around. Everything else, we'll deal with to lay ground. I see Al Janita in the back, past president of the National Bar Association. For those of us who have done this a long time, we know we're gonna have to spend a lot of time in court the next couple of years trying to clean up the mess that Republicans are gonna make in our neighborhoods. And this is the reality. If you touch the 18th, the 9th, the 29th down here, and the 33rd congressional district, you can't touch one district without making changes to other districts. So it's not just going to be 4 districts that are impacted. It's going to have a ripple effect out across multiple other districts.
Do you foresee that, I think it was Councilwoman Shabazz that mentioned that this is going to also impact those, kind of have an alternate effect of what maybe the Republicans' intent is, which is to, I guess, undermine these quote unquote racially gerrymandered districts, as they call them, coalition districts. Do you think that this will actually backfire?
I think in some places, the real problem for it to be a dummy mander is not Black voters.
It's a dummy mander.
Yeah, it's not going to be Black folks. It's going to be, what do Hispanic and Anglo voters do? That's really going to be the issue. And it's concerning that no matter how qualified Black candidates are, some folks just won't vote for them. And they will vote for white candidates who will be against their interests. That's the only way the dummy mander works, is that white Democrats are going to have to, not just in a primary, vote for a good candidate, but in the general election, they're going to have to come back out and vote for a Kamala Harris at the congressional level.
Yeah.
A Barack Obama at the congressional level.
Okay. Well, listen, this has been a real robust discussion. Is there any questions in the audience that people may have? I know we have microphones in the building. And so if we could just ask questions, I see some.
I don't see any hands. No.
Well, I see, they out in the audience like, ooh, me. What was the name of that show? Arnold Horseshack. He's like, ooh.
Working.
What was the name of that movie? Welcome Back, Carter. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's go to the audience.
So my name is Lenita Robinson, and I actually brought my soon-to-be voter. Stand up, came and say, hey. That's
All right.
my big baby. But he will be turning 18 in October, right? So I had a question, but I just want you to repeat your first answer for the three things because I'm going to go testify. And I did not record that answer for what we should say, and I want to say it.
Can you remember all that?
The first one
That's
that
a lot.
it was about the 18th.
Is this taped?
District.
Now, this show is live streamed and it's
I heard.
you
And
can go.
it's taped.
We want to encourage all of y'all to
Yes,
subscribe.
Indeed.
Hit the subscribe button on Trending Tuesdays and go back, share it, watch it. And I encourage you to do the same.
Let
She's going to help you get
Yeah, we're
that.
gonna ask everybody to come over.
Yeah, we want you to
Yeah, over here.
There you go.
And I want to recognize Aljanita for real. Just like Carol, if you don't want the truth, don't ask Carol, don't ask Aljanita.
Well, that's my mentor.
I'm trying to tell you. I had lunch with her the other day, and if I tell you, I really gleaned a lot. And thank you.
All right, so Carol, you want to take a stab at that again, or
So you're in the 18th.
Yeah, I'm not in the 18th. I am an outlier. However,
That's
I'm-
okay.
Yes, I'm one of those.
There you go.
Yes, I'm one of those who any Black district I'm going to support and I'm going to promote, and I will, even if I don't have the ability to vote for you, I will make sure that others in my Facebook or my internet world know about you.
So let me say this and then give you the three things.
Okay.
The 18th district is not a majority Black district. It's just that we vote in a Democratic primary, we vote in a general election, and it has a majority of Democratic voters, and we're 30-something% of the district. So that's why. So what you want to say is, one, you want the 18th district protected and kept the current configuration. Even though the 18th district doesn't currently have a sitting member of Congress, the voters in the 18th district in the communities of interest that exist should not be deprived of their right to elect a candidate of their choice. And then the third thing, the 18th district as configured should not be changed because the 18th, the 29th, and 9th, as currently configured with all the other districts, have found a happy median where everybody in this community have been able to elect the candidates of their choice.
Right.
Okay?
Got it. Yes, sir. Thank you so
Hey,
much.
could I say something? Is that your son?
Yes,
Son?
say something
What's his
to
name?
my son. Cayman, come here, baby.
Yeah, I got one, 27. When I was first elected to council, they told me I couldn't take him on the stage with me. I said, y'all must be crazy.
Really?
Hey, young man, thank you for being out here tonight. And no matter what anybody says, don't ever be frustrated. The trick in this game is just keep going forward and forward. I hope you run for something, not only just register to vote and vote, but study and get involved and ultimately run for office, okay?
Oh, and I'm going to say on a personal level, I'm afraid of a man born in October. They are charming. So we're watching you, Mom. Watch him.
Oh,
Because
wow.
he's dangerous. He's a man born in October.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Any other? I think we have quite a few other questions, audience questions. Let's go ahead and get you up here to ask your question to anyone. And if you have any questions, just line up around the corner.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm sure we all have been talking about the redistricting, and it's very important. But what's important to me is advocating for the homeless and the mental health. Now, we talk about it, we'll throw it out there, but then we really don't try to really put anything together. So, Mr. Babb, if you have a advisory committee, I would love to be on it. I'm an advocate and have been homeless myself. So I know what it's like. Not because a lot of stuff going on. It was just some choices and where I was in life. Coming from a very educated family, it didn't matter. So everybody out there is not crazy. Everybody out there is not drug addict. Some out there for got sick and lost their jobs for several reasons. That problem is out there. So while we are redistricting and while we are pandering, pushing them somewhere, where are you going to push them to? Well, where can you push them to?
Thank you.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much for your comment.
And I want to say that you cannot stereotype why a person is homeless. That's like saying everybody in here has the same problems. Everybody has whatever. Everybody comes with a different background and different reasoning. So that's why really it's very difficult to address the problem, because what may be your problem may not be his problem. And so it's very difficult. We just need the support and the ideas of other people. And, you know, I like to think that I will listen. And about that night thing, I'm fine with having council at night, but I am not fine with having it in Kingwood and different areas where people have transportation issues and people who characteristically come can't get there. I think you start a problem, because it might not be a lot of people coming from Kingwood now with problems, but you have inner city people who have these problems who can use transportation to get there. I don't care what time. Y'all kind of think about, we got to get up early in the morning, but we're there to serve. So if we got to spend the night there, that's exactly what we'll need to do. Thank you.
Before I leave, I'd like to say, just like there is a solution for homeless. If you don't have it, I do. There's a solution. And when we say there's not a solution, because we're not really looking for a solution.
Okay.
Because it's not really important. So when we go out to Kingwood to have our meetings, don't forget to talk about the homeless, because they are part of our community. They can vote. It's a lot of things they can do, but if they feel like they are not a voice, they are not a person.
Now, we're talking about public session. We're not talking about council.
Yeah,
Right. Well, I tell you what, I think that for the sake of the fact that we got quite a few other people that want to ask questions, I hope that y'all can connect, definitely connect with each other, because we want to address that concern and get you engaged. Thank you so much. Who we got up next?
Is this microphone work? Aljanita.
There you go.
All right.
I want her to introduce you to all of you.
Thanks so much. I'm glad to be here, but I really want you to continue to do what you're doing. We're sitting here, we're interested. We are at a point now where our state could be used to create the most regressive Congress in the history of this nation.
Absolutely.
And we are sitting here in Houston. We have a responsibility. My question to you is, how do you communicate that responsibility to more of us, so that there are more people testifying, so that there are more folks standing on the corners to say, don't mess with our congressional districts? How do we do that? We need some real specific plans every day from now on. How do we raise the money to make sure that we pay the fines for our representatives when they get fined $500 a day for not showing up? We need some specifics. We need to get that word out. We need to convert the Emancipation Wheeler folks who are there on Sunday nights, convert them to the same folks who will be doing the same things in Austin to raise this issue and to let folks know we're not going to take this lying down.
I just want to say, and I think that's a great point, and I definitely want you all to chime in. I think the same approach that many of these folks who currently serve in public offices, and those that are seeking public offices and then disappear after they probably are unsuccessful, but they have all the solutions when they're knocking on doors and going around and asking for your vote. I think those same people need to have the same energy, the same drive. And if you really care about the people and you see what's about to happen to the people, you know, we need boots on the ground. And I ain't just talking about the song and having a fan. I'm talking about, you know, getting on the grind and knocking on doors the same way you knocked on doors, asking for support, asking for dollars, asking for money. Do the same thing for something that truly matters and that's going to truly impact the communities that you say that you wanted to serve or that you currently do serve. So it's time out for being quiet and silent. We got to speak up. Because we all we got. Superman ain't coming, Councilwoman Shabazz. I know you say you're looking for somebody to save us, but Superman ain't coming. You know what I'm saying? And then when you look at some of these superhero movies, something always gets destroyed. And sometimes the superhero ain't always as strong as you think. They need some assistance themselves. So we need us. We're all we got. And if we don't step up, you know, we see the problem. We can't wait for somebody else to solve it. We got to step up and address it ourselves, because at the end of the day, you know, Dr. King said, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. This matters.
Yeah. Hey, so Aljanita, I'll answer your question. Sometimes circumstances conspire to be beneficial. You just have to see it. Here's what Texas is. She is sexy. She's the second biggest block of delegates to the Democratic National Convention to nominate a Democratic candidate for president of the United States. The most influential block of voters in Texas, Democratic primary, are black voters. Here's what I would hope some folks would do, Aljanita, for the representatives. Gavin Newsom, sitting on a boatload of money, would like to be president of the United States. He got to come through Texas on Super Tuesday. J.B. Pitzer, the governor of Illinois, one of the richest men in America, would like to be president of the United States. I'm sure if some folks with more influence than me, but you know me, I ain't afraid to go ask, would say, one, Governor, would you put these nice state reps up from Texas out in California? Because he gonna see us in his political advantage, because he gonna believe we gonna remember. They would put them up. Go to J.B. Pitzer and say, hey, let's do what other folks do. Somebody create a LLC, or you can give it to a black law firm, and we will hire all the Democratic members of the legislature as consultants, because you can get money legally as a consultant. You can't get no money just getting some money. That gets you in trouble. But if they all consultants and they can get a $100,000 check, they can pay to be gone for the entire legislative session. I'm sure J.B. Pitzer is going to spend $500 million to try to be the Democratic nominee. Gavin Newsom is going to raise that kind of money. I ain't even going to talk about all the other people, because as soon as one of them put it up, all the rest going to come. But if you want to find the money to pay the fines and to put folks up to accommodate them, go talk to the presidential candidates that want your vote in the 2028 Super Tuesday Democratic primary in Texas. That's the easy answer.
Excellent idea.
Yeah, that's easy. This ain't hard.
All right, we're going to move on to our next question.
Good evening to all of you. I'd like to ask a question that is like this. Could you discuss briefly the relationship between church and state in terms of the sharing of policy and information that was pertinent to the voter? Because in other communities, they do it all the time. And then when in the black community, the flag goes up, you're crossing the line. And the second issue is, if the legislative body does not put that footprint, that blueprint on the table, is it possible that footprint can come from somewhere else in the community?
Yes, great question.
Yeah, the blueprint can come from any place and be submitted at one of the redistricting hearings. So anybody can put forward what they believe a congressional district should look like, or what the entire map 38 congressional districts in Texas should look like. Anybody can do it. And there's a software called Red Apple, and there are other versions that can be used to try to draw a district. The data is available out there. The other thing about church and state, look, under the federal tax code, any 501c4, even C3, but just to a lesser degree, you could say Carolyn Evans Shabazz is running for office and here's her position. You just can't say vote for Carolyn Evans Shabazz for District D.
Well, that's not true.
No,
No, because just recently, early July, the IRS just stated that churches, places of worship can now endorse political candidates. And that decades-old ban of being this tax-exempt organization is no longer applicable. So to answer your question, you now can say what they've been saying all the while anyway.
They had a voter guy.
in a very strategic and crafty way. All houses of worship, all churches that have been tax exempt, and it's been something that they say you can't do, that now as of July of this year has been removed.
Thanks, man.
I'm
No
aware
problem.
that's in place now, but a lot of our church bodies are not familiar with don't have access to that information, and it's not shared across a broad spectrum of the community. And I think if the whole community is aware of the disposition that they can take, then maybe some change will come out of that.
I think it was Senator West who said it earlier in challenging the churches to come together. And it saddens me that we got 1 million black churches on every corner in Texas and Houston, and we're not aligned and we're not talking to one another. I believe that, you as a minister or anyone else, we need to start having conversations with those like-minded black ministers and places of worship. And even if it's a small remnant that begins, remember when Dr. King wasn't popular amongst black pastors, and so he met with a small remnant and a group of people in order to enact change. But he was openly challenged by, what's the name of that black man, elder, that had the radio broadcast, that used to just defame him all the time nationally and was working with J. Edgar Hoover and all them in the FBI. You got to understand, not everybody wants you to have that information to disseminate, but if enough of you come together, the information is there. And so if a remnant of you, a small number of you get together and start having a movement, I know there's a minister that just sent out a letter to Governor Abbott, and I haven't heard anybody get behind him. I'm talking about Pastor Charles Turner over at New Pleasant Grove Missionary Baptist Church sent out a letter, and I saw it covered on the news. It was in the Chronicle, where he wrote a letter challenging him about redistricting and telling them that hands off these districts is not right. I haven't seen the black ministers get behind him and his effort. It's like he's a lone ranger standing on an island. So I think that if you start with someone like him and get together with ministers that are concerned about this like you, I think that that's where the movement begins. Because really with this, you're going to need a crusade and a movement. It's just not business as usual.
No. What I was going to say, Jeff, is you can't wait for everybody to come. You just got to start with the 2 people you got.
Yeah, that's it.
And sometimes the 2 people may just be you, but once you start, more people will come.
Yes, indeed. Well, that looks like all of the questions that we have from the audience.
And don't worry
I
about
think we have a
drawing an
question
ugly map, as he called it. What did you call it? Ugly? We just passed an ugly bill. So things happen. So ugly may be in. So
All right, I think we have another question here.
oh, okay.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
My name is Vonetta Kelly. I am a voter, and I've always been a voter because I used to go with my mother and watch her vote. Where I went to school, she taught in Sharpstown at the time. We would sit in the lunchroom. We were told, today is voting day. There are going to be people here voting. You're going to have to be extra quiet. So I know exactly how important voting is. We are missing our younger people. I can tell there are people here who are dedicated voters, just like I have been. I'm 50. But the young people behind me, the 40s, the 30s, the 20s, and the teens, they do need to get involved, but they're feeling left out. As a matter of fact, I am too. I call my representatives. The people in their offices answer. I call National DNC. They know me. Come up on my ID. Hi, Miss Kelly. How you? Yes. Every day, sometimes multiple times. I'm watching the news. I like the idea of the evening sessions for the people to come to. That would also be important because yes, people are working during the day. But come the evening, you look at the television. If you want to see your representative, well, they're on either CNN, MSNBC, or those other channels. I'm calling every day, also to my representatives' offices. They take my name and I don't get a phone call back. You're looking for new ideas. They're out here. People have them, but it seems like our representatives are talking at us and not to us. We're here. We want to be there, and people do need to vote, but people are feeling left out and left behind. It seems like, and please don't think I'm not directing this, I'm directing it to our representatives, because we do have the numbers, but they're not coming out. And here's something else, just an idea, not even an idea. If we can have someone who is now a 34-time convicted felon as the president, why are people not out there making sure that people who have been incarcerated are getting registered, that they can vote, that they're talking to them when they're inside? They're supposed to get their information to be set up to go to an address. They're given a piece of paper that they may or may not read about getting their voting rights back, but no one's helping. They give you a card and say, fill it out and turn it in. Well, sometimes people might need a little bit more help than that. We still have people who have not been properly taught how to read, even though they've even left school or they supposedly graduated. So again, it needs to be more talking to us and not just at us. We do have ideas. We can help. We can also offer you what's going on, the ear of the street. We know you're busy in your offices and what you do have to do when you have to go to Austin or you have to go to Washington. But you're going there for us. Mm-hmm. And we do have some other issues, and I know there are major, major issues out there. And you're right. Elections start at the local level. We see now what they've done from the school districts to city councils to the states and to Washington. And they've been at their game for a very long time. And the Heritage Foundation is making sure that everything they're carrying out is happening. But where's the Democratic Party? Their version of those think tanks to counteract, to get us mobilized. And you did speak earlier about where is our strategy. We know what theirs is.
Yes.
Okay, I know.
Thank you
gotta
so
get
much.
To someone else.
No, I mean, I love the passion. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for that.
All right. We're going to take one more before we close out. Then very, very good.
I'm going to be so short because I want to speak to, where's the 18-year-old gentleman?
He's over there.
Okay. So I wanted to tell him, just like they told him to get involved. I was him. You know, I grew up in Third Ward. Yeah, I was you. I was exactly like you. I grew up in Third Ward. And I just wanted to say, I started off as a mechanic, right? And then, you know, years later, I grew some businesses, got successful. But it was coming to meetings like this where I was so frustrated that I stood up and I let them have it. but I let it have it to Ada. That was the wrong person that let it have it. So she said, I love your energy. I want to speak to you after the meeting. So what she said to me empowered me. She said, young man, you have the talent to do whatever you want to do, but what are you doing? If you say you want to fix stuff for your city, if you say you want to do these things, then you have to do it because nobody else is going to do it for you. I'm sitting here as city council person. I will help you. And you know what she did? She actually gave me some great advice. I got involved. I joined Civic Club. I became the president. Over a period of time, I started getting projects done in our area. Dr. Shabazz helped me. What I did find out, the reason we're unorganized is this city was built in the early 1900s. We live in neighborhoods now where all the documents and the documentations for our HOAs and everything have expired. And that's going to be the hardest thing for the city to keep us going. And you can't challenge that. But what I do want you to see right now today as I speak to you, because I feel like what they told you is to get involved, is that's me. I got involved. Nobody had to push me and say, hey, Al Lord, are you going to run for city council? I just said, you know what? I have nothing to lose, right? Because I would do this for free. I can open up a foundation and still help my community. I'm doing it because I need to remove roadblocks. There are roadblocks, there are gatekeepers that I met at the city, and there are people that are just not doing their job. There's some fantastic people that are doing it, fantastic at their job, and they'll help you. So I wanted to tell you and encourage you on your journey. By the time you get to my age, I hope to see you in office.
All right, y'all. Listen, this is some great discussion that is happening tonight. Let's give it up for our guests that appeared on Trending. Oh, y'all can do better than that. Give it up for our guests for Trending Tuesdays. Give it up for yourselves, the audience in the building. And I think we set a record tonight, you know,
yeah, we did
conversations, but I'm going to toss it back over to Miss Danette Davis so she can help close us out on tonight. God bless y'all. We'll see you on next time.
Oh, boy. Charles Davis.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Bring it back to me.
Go.
Camera.
Jeff.
Bring it back to me.
Get that camera back to Jeff, yeah.
Yeah, pan back over to me before we close it out. I just want to encourage each and every one of you this Saturday. I want you to make your way to Missouri City, Texas, Taste of Asia 2017, FM 1092, starting at 6 p.m. I have a big announcement that I am making relative to the future of Missouri City, Texas. And I need you all to be there. I need everybody in this audience to make their way to Mo City in order to join me for this big announcement. Definitely want to see you there. The future of Missouri City is bright, and I need you present. Thank you.
All right. Close, Jeff. Huh?
Yes.
All right. Now, Charles Davis, my brother, where are you? He's not even listening. I had a grandfather who raised me, and I got two folk from my hometown there in Conroe. Where are you guys? Will you raise your hand? Sam Hubbard would be proud of me, wouldn't he? Wouldn't he, though? See, back, he explained what poll taxes were and all that kind of stuff like that. They would put things together, Corot. And you know, I said, I want to learn how to drive. He said, no, you need to go get your voter's registration card. You don't have a car, but you can vote. And I was 18 years old. You get me? And so my life is what, to have all of you here makes my heart sing, because we're in the community. This is K Davis in the community. My daughter, who's back there with an apron and some shorts on, came up with the idea because she said, Mom, you're in the community. K Davis is my business that helps us pay the bills and buy and do all the things we do, build this building on purpose in the community for you. And for you, and all you guys are here. And I wanted to say to you, these people, and along with the other two that were on the screen, they will talk to you. See, I like you. I made some phone calls and people didn't call me back. I live in Pearland, so you know. But now when I had to take care of some student loan stuff, I mean, their ombudsman took care of it. I didn't talk to them, but I knew how to work through the system. A lot of people don't know that Congress people and Senate people and City Council people work for them. They don't know that. So they don't know to call the offices and ask, because they think you just doing what you, but no, these people are real. And for them to be here up close and personal and can take that licking while you giving it to them in the face or whatever, they know that they were going to stay after, and you get to walk right up to them. One of the things we try to do over here, and I thought about it when you said it, we have people here, which means you can walk up in here and you can say just that to their face. It's not just on the screen. They're not going to run out when they leave. And you can actually say to your city councilman, I'm not going to, we were talking to the state senator. No, Rodney, those people, you can talk to them and they will really listen and talk to you back. And you got to believe that they can help you. I think we also think we can't be helped. We think nobody cares, So that's my speech. Okay, this is the deal. K. Davis in the community, okay? Now he's gonna put up on the screen and let you know who we are and how you can help and how you can help us do this more. But when you talk about young people, one of the things we do, we're art, right? K. Davis in the community is mind, body, and spirit, because unless you grow holistically, everything about you, including what you eat, how much exercise you get, your mind, we give scholarships away because we know education is how a lot of us move from. I left home with $100, didn't I, Charles? He's not even paying attention. Education made the difference in my life. You understand what I'm saying? So we know mind, body, and spirit. But what we do is, since we love the arts, anybody knows me, I love the arts. That's why I wanted to introduce some people to you. This is the showroom, guys. I sell furniture, fixtures, and equipment every day in my day job, right? I work with school districts and municipalities and public entities and all of that. But guess what? Since I do, I give back to the community. We work inside the program. So we have people like Orange. You guys know Orange when you come up? I'm gonna take just a few minutes. Orange is, now that picture that you see of me and my husband, which he painted upside down at a Christmas party. This is a gentleman who does that all over the nation, all over the world, what have you. He's internationally known, what have you. But guess what? When we met him, we said, we want to help young people coming up. Just like you said, it's not about us. We on the other side, but there are mentees. Come on up. This mentee, this is her work. This mentee. Okay, these are the people y'all want to vote. Am I right?
Yeah.
Now, how old are you? How old are you?
I'm 25.
She's 25 years old.
35.
She's 35, but she's 35 years old. But understand what I'm saying. These are the people y'all need to vote and convince. But when you have people like us that say to them, you may not be where you want to be now. Roxy did that picture back over there, what have you. But Orange says we need to do this mentee thing so that they can be encouraged and then they can participate and understand somebody cares and then go on to be great, which they can be, right? So what we did was we said, okay, Orange, tell you what. And Vicki Pink, who's taking these photos around here, same thing. Vicki had her photo show here, but we said, Vicki, she comes around and does all the photos. She's fantastic and the best of the best, what have you. But then Vicki's just on the grind. So we had a photo show for her. My point is, be about it. Do it. Yeah. Stop talking about it. Be it. We do this every week. Anywhere we go, we take. This lady got a job doing, what is it, the Fade to Black Fest, because I introduced her to the person at the podcast at Christmas. She hired her. So she was the curator for the whole Fade to Black Festival because of something she got here in this place. So all I'm saying is, all of us, let's just do everything we can do. This gentleman here, we're about to release the film of Camp Logan that the ensemble did. I'm on the board at the ensemble. I love theater, right? But he wrote the score for us. All I'm saying is, love each other, do for each other, be a community, know that people cares, you be about it, and you be the light. Don't wait on the next person to do it, you do it. And then they'll follow you. And you're right, it's too many leaders and not enough followers or whatever. But we'll follow you if you're going somewhere. Won't we follow them? Okay, all I want my husband to do now, we got you all guys here and we got food. If you like what you eat, my husband's he's an organic chef. So, because we want you to feed your mind, your body, and your spirit. We want you to do it right because you want you to be healthy and all of that. So he's going to tell you what the menu is. If you like what you eat, there's a tip the chef over there and leave it. We got food, but we're not charging. You get me? So and Dorian, I called Dorian 30 minutes ago. Okay. Dorian he's also a partner. These are our partners he'll be doing sax in a few minutes. Our other partner in Justice, Pure Justice is here. Those are our partners, Justice Formats. And then Sharita Tate, the George Floyd project that we've had. These people, Bernadine, these people are here every week or what have you, pounding and doing this stuff at no cost, being who they need to be. So we're inviting you guys to join and help us be all we can really be, which is the community, doing what we can do every day, hand in hand with these politicians. Yeah. All right. And I think if Rodney earlier we had Royce West was on out of Dallas. I met him a long time ago. I worked on this when he was running for congressman or what have you. He's a very impressive black man who told me he's getting tired.
Okay.
Anything you want to tell about the menu?
Well, I'm not tired yet. The party just got started. Just turn it up. Just turn it up, y'all. Put my foot in this one tonight. This is a cornucopia of some of my favorite seasonal dishes. And it begins with infused waters. They're hydrogen-infused waters with a little bit of magnesium added as well. But you're going to get okra-infused waters as well as rosemary-infused waters. You're going to get, for the main course, some of the salads already started passing by. Those are arugula salads with a little bit of olive oil and lemon drizzle, a little bit of tuna, and we got plenty of those to go. Still kicking. The Swiss chard is almost ready to go. We're going to do Swiss chard and sardines. That's one of my staple main course dishes for the vegetarian in this. We've got roasted sweet potatoes with buttered ginger, sauteed buttered ginger on them. And we've got ground lamb. We've got black eyed peas and okra, organic jasmine rice. Everything I get my hands on organically is that time of the season. The okra I've grown myself here in my garden here locally, and I try to incorporate as much of those things as I can in the cooking process to kind of give you guys a whole farm-to-table experience when you come and have dinner with a chef, hopefully one day soon. It limits the supplies, but please enjoy. I want to see empty plates and empty pots. Thanks, guys. Dr. Tate.
Charles, you want to say hello? Well, hold on. Oh, please sign in. Y'all. Oh, please sign in. Okay. This is my brother, y'all.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just glad to be here, and I'm so proud of my baby sister, the undertaking that she's done. We came up in a family that gave back to the community, and so we're just grateful that we are able to continue to do the work that the Lord would have us to do. I keep telling my baby sister, though, I said, if you're going to call me up, let me know so I can dress as sharp as the host. Yeah. Yeah. You know, if I knew I was going to say some words, I would have dressed as sharp as you.
Oh, man. Thank you, man. Yeah. Too kind. Too kind.
But I will say that I'm glad to see you, Carol. And I shared with him. I don't know why I thought that Carol was Justin Robinson Jr. I thought he was his son. But yeah, it was. I'm older than maybe I look, so been around a while, and just so glad to see the people that are continuing to work, because the struggle has not been easy. But I like to say in closing, as the late Dr. Martin Luther King said in one of his speeches that touched my heart, he said, longevity has its place. And like everyone, I like to live a long time. But I may not get there when you get there. But I've been to the mountaintop. And I've seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. And we as a people, we will get to the promised land. But as each and every one is echoed tonight, but we got to come together and love one another. If we don't do that, there's no way we're going to get there. We must start loving and caring about each other. And we'll get to that promised land. Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right, boots on the ground. Let's go. Boots on the ground.
Arrive in the building.
Hey.
Okay, now.
All right. Thank you.
Where the fans at? Where the fans at? Give me no time. Where the fans at? Give me one time. Oh, 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 I got my boots on the ground. Yeah. Oh, 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 I got my boots on the ground. Where the fans at? Get up by your seat.